The porch is a very important part of the overall look of this house and the design. It has a nice wide entryway. It really makes you feel welcome when you come up to the door, and still has space on either side that you can position plants as we've done here, or maybe even a chair along the way. The problem is, over the years, apparently the front yard had been filled in a good bit with either topsoil or possibly another layer of sod, and as a result it's actually higher than the surface of the porch. Now, when it rains, the water rolls down the front of the yard and stands on the porch. Now, when it's raining, it's one of the nicest times to be on a porch, but not very pleasant if your feet are getting wet. The solution is to raise the level of the slab up a little bit so that water will not run onto it. And we could do this with concrete. We have enough space here that we could actually pour a little slab over this, but basically it would look just like it does now. We've suggested to the homeowners that we could use a brick paver that would be thick enough to take care of the water problem, but will add a nice decorative element to the front of the house. Now, by doing this, it will make it look a lot better and definitely solve the drainage problem. First, we have to remove the columns so that the brick pavers can go under them. Dennis and Joe begin by jacking up the porch roof slightly, just enough to take the weight off of the columns so that they can work them out. These notched temporary supports are propped in place and secured before the jack is lowered back down. With the porch surface cleared, we're ready for the brick mason. He begins by laying the brick pavers around the perimeter of the porch so that he can establish the proper fall or slope away from the house for drainage. The outer band is turned perpendicular to the porch in what is often called a soldier course. The mortar is troweled onto the concrete slab and each brick is pressed in one at a time. A string marks the exact height or level at which the brick should rest, and the masons are careful to keep the space between the bricks consistent. The bricks in the middle are laid in a running bond pattern. The staggered layout in this pattern requires that a few bricks are cut at the beginning of each of the rows. Mortar is squeezed from a grout bag, which resembles a large cake decorating bag, to fill the voids between the bricks. Finally, the surface is troweled smooth and the bricks are brushed vigorously to remove any excess mortar. Our brickwork looks good, and our brick masons were able to tuck it right under the door sill with a nice slope so that if any rain blows into the porch, it'll roll right off just like it should. Now, using the solid brick enabled them to give us a nice finished edge on the front of the porch here where it meets the sidewalk, but because of that increase in the height of the porch overall, we've had to do a good bit of work in cutting our existing aluminum columns. First thing we did is to measure down from the beam to the new surface to determine just how high the columns needed to be. Then measuring that on the aluminum columns, marking it, and then using a reciprocating saw with a metal cutting blade allowed Dennis to cut off just what we needed to put the columns back in place. Now, we've already completed 2 of the columns, and they're putting the final touches on the 3rd column to get it nice and plumb and to make sure our margin on the front of our porch is the same with all of the columns we have. One more column in place and this porch will be complete.